Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's subject is all about how bad as a motorcycle trainer can you be and still be able to train on behalf of IAM Road Smart. In this video we'll see how an appointed, not qualified, labelled expert with passion misleads a paying associate whilst negotiating a T-junction on a public road. And for all of you who's new to the channel, then welcome, and if you have the time then please feel free to view some of my other videos which are all about rider safety and often interlinked for your pleasure. And if you'd be so kind as to like and subscribe, I would be forever grateful. Just to recap, this is the second video about this particular expert with passion, and if you haven't seen the first video then please do so now. The link is in the description below. This appointed, not qualified observer who is subservient to IAM Road Smart was filmed lecturing this poor paying associate up to and including their departure. It would have been remiss of me not to film how an expert with passion negotiates what is seen to be a T-junction within a 30-mile-an-hour speed reduced zone. But first and foremost, before I begin, please note there is no visible logo that I'm displaying on his high-vis jacket that can be seen. I would advise the sad little whistleblower at IAM Road Smart to dry your eyes and relax. It's all for the greater good. Here is the aforementioned expert with passion on his red bike and a high-vis jacket. He and his associate, that's the guy to the left, on his grey bike, are approaching what is deemed by the IM as an obstacle, a T-junction for ordinary bikers. As they approach the obstacle, the lead observer would be applying what he has been told to think, which is OAP and IPSCA. Although he was told what to think, it is seen to be quite obvious that he has left the thinking too late to be of any use. OAP, for those who don't know, is observation, anticipation and planning. So let's look at that. I would suggest that the observer knows this location, but each decision should be organic to the moment and never a pre-formatted drill, such as IPSCA. This is an area where the IM training establishment constantly fail. The observation stage should have begun prior to sitting astride the bike to gain an overall update of the local area to identify the current situation. Here a rider could observe the general flow of traffic in and out, cyclists passing by and pedestrians with or without their dogs, and conditions to the local road surface, not forgetting the intended direction of exit and the ability to observe clearly. Once on the bike, the rider should preempt any potential changes to the initial observations, and during the anticipation phase, such things as new arrivals to the car park or cyclists that may exit could be considered, or as they say, anticipated. This is where the observer could now begin to build his plan just before he engages first gear and not whilst he arrives at the junction. Often the IM talk about having a plan for this and a plan for that. They don't have any plans for anything. They are totally reactive riders. And unfortunately this observer is already sitting behind what looks like a waiting car, and I saw no evidence of the above occurring before his departure. And before we go any further, let's take a look at this junction to orientate ourselves in a bit to try and understand if anything useful is going through the observer's head or not. The first picture is looking into the junction from the main road, which allows an appreciation of the width and size of the junction and also the condition of the road surface itself. Bearing in mind that they've already both used this junction to enter previously. Our riders are looking to exit to their left, which is your right on this screen, and it would be considered to identify the uneven surface with a small pothole shown. A consideration to be made where not to place your foot down. The road surface to their left and your right does however look in a reasonable condition for the purpose of exiting to their left. Let's see what the expert with passion thinks. It appears that he's taken up a central position, bearing in mind this is a junction where traffic can also enter from the main road. When we observe the main road, we can see it curves away from this junction both to the left and to the right. Any vehicles approaching on a curved road can look closer than they actually are. The point being is your point of vision from yourself as a straight line to an approaching vehicle may seem shorter, but the distance to travel for that vehicle around the curve is greater. And this would mean that you can expect to have a little more time to exit prior to a vehicle arriving over that of a vehicle on a straight road approach. This curve on exit, however, can provide an additional obstacle to be considered once a rider exits the junction and needs to position the bike safely for further progress. Good observation will already identify where that position needs to be in regards to a safety bubble, but we'll see once more what this expert with passion achieves. Here is an up-to-date photograph of the junction. Point to note is that when the observer was there, the foliage upon the trees was in full bloom, with less ability to see and to be seen clearly. Whereas here, in this picture, it's late autumn with the leaves already up on the ground. Having said that, the obvious pothole back in the summer seems to have gone or become more open and flatter, but in general this road surface, fallen leaves apart, offers a reasonable surface to provide a choice of positions you could stop. Our observer has brought his bike to a stop behind the car in front, potentially too close, but perhaps we can give him some credit if we assume he has chosen this position for a reason. Now that the car has moved off, the observer continues to hold his ground. Why is that? Is it because he has chosen a point in which to observe from, or is he simply lacking in confidence, or is his ability to progress so procedural due to reeling through the IPSGA of IPSCA that he's not making best progress? Another point to note, look how far the car in front has travelled before the next vehicle appears. It's at least 6 seconds. Anyone should be able to pull out of a junction, even in a small car, and make ground in 6 seconds. And surely any advanced expert with passion could have made the exit at the same time as the car in front. When multiple riders are negotiating junctions together, it is each individual's responsibility to take care of their own safety requirements. And I doubt the observer was waiting just to keep both riders together. If we take a rider's eye view of the position of the observer stopped to clear the junction, maybe we can understand more. My camera is now at about the rider's head height, and if we identify the position of the rider in this picture and the tree, we can see that I'm in the right place. To the left, this affords a position to view along the left bend and up the hill, but observation and position should always be a two-way street. You should position yourself to see and be seen. Is it possible that this observer was set too far back at the junction for a left turn? To the right, however, there appears to be a problem. The advertising boarding of the cafe is blocking a great portion of the visibility for both the rider and the approaching traffic. Moving forward at this point could have improved vision for both rider and traffic. Let's see what happens when the observer finally moves off. And remember, prior to moving off, both mirrors and any perceived blind spots to the left and right should be checked. This location has had many visitors who arrive by foot and some with dogs, plus plenty of cyclists as we've already seen. And in this moving off, I see no rear or blind spot observation taking place with this expert observer. And for those of you motorcyclists who are not deemed as advanced riders, we only need to go as far as the highway code on page 28 under rule 88, subject of manoeuvring. It states, you should be aware of what is behind and to the sides before moving. Look behind you and use your mirrors if they are fitted. Is it always advised when moving off and negotiating a 90-degree left change of direction to take some of the exit angle out prior to stopping? Doesn't that make more sense? Let's see what happens when the observer moves off. At the point of crossing the giveaway line with his front wheel, there is enough space to accommodate a small car to his left. This is not good riding skills at all. Basic Mod 2 riders are trained always to dominate the road space which they need. And I wonder what the following trainee associate is thinking right now. Look how sharply the observer is needing to turn his handlebars to get the bike to change direction without running across the central white line. Where is his observation now? Probably just in front of his front wheel, because he's cocked it up, rather than his head looking up the road to the left whilst he turns. Looking at the back of the observer's helmet, you can see by the angle he's looking across the street, not to the left and up the road where he needs to observe. By doing so, he's looking where the bike is going, not where he needs to be, and therefore he's got a more acute steering angle turned on the handlebars and having to lean the bike more aggressively to turn closer to 90 degrees before he can get underway. He needs to be chin up, eyes up, looking in the direction of where the Mercedes currently is. He's failed with information, position and speed at this point. And worse than this, once he pulls out, he has to swing the bike underneath himself to collect it while straightening up and performing a gear change, which he gets it all wrong considering he's got a quick shifter. And if you look at the line of exit of the following associate, it's much smoother, much neater into the apex, and he makes it look much easier, the process of exiting that junction, than the expert, so-called with passion, demonstrates. What do you all think when you look at the observer in the left picture with his sharp angle almost 90 degrees before he turns left, versus in the right hand picture the following associate has got quite easily a 45 degrees angle, making it much easier to step up onto the road surface in the 30-mile-an-hour zone, already and almost pointing in the right direction of travel. What do you think? And just whilst we're looking at these two here, a very small point, both of them were indicating to exit the junction. Why? Feel free to answer. I'm asking the question, why were they indicating? When I see experts with passion behaving in a manner like this, quite often I'm speechless and I cannot help but shake my head. This guy, whoever he is, and I'm sure someone's going to tell me, hopefully he's not a group leader, is an embarrassment. He can't even ride above a level of Mod 1 riders, and he's supposed to be the leader here, the expert with passion. He screwed up the junction, screwed up the positioning, screwed up his observation, and now he's heading up the road. Where's his OAP and IPSCA now? He's in the wrong position already. He's heading towards position 3 with traffic coming down a hill towards him. Wrong, wrong, wrong on all accounts. So that brings the end of today's video, and as always, remember, think safe, ride safe, and I hope to see you not pretending to be an expert with passion when you're obviously not, because you can't coach, because you lecture, and because you can't actually ride a motorcycle to literally save your own life. Stop demonstrating in front of other people when you shouldn't be, because you're not good enough. Bye for now.